Before we get into the breakdown, here's what this video is really about. We're breaking down why Stephanie Harper changes Hank MacLean's entire backstory, why the Legion's march matters more than the battle itself, why Hank wiping his own mind is the most disturbing moment in the series, why Vault-Tec was never the final boss, what Robert House's death actually means, where the Ghoul is really headed, and how the Brotherhood of Steel just quietly became a future apocalypse. By the end, Season 2 stops looking like a collection of twists and starts looking like a single, very deliberate warning. Now, let's tear it apart. Fallout Season 2 doesn't end with explosions, speeches, or victory. It ends by undermining what you thought you understood. By the time the finale is over, the show has quietly revealed that nearly every major character has been fighting the wrong enemy. And worse, many of them were trained to do so. This season isn't about survival in the wasteland. It's about control, compliance, and the systems that survived the bombs far more intact than humanity ever did. And the finale makes it clear that those systems are not only alive, they're escalating. From the outside, Season 2 feels bigger than Season 1. More factions, more lore, more long game setups. But structurally, it's actually much tighter. Season 1 asks whether people could remain good in a broken world. Season 2 asks something far more uncomfortable. What if the world isn't broken at all, just functioning as designed? That question hangs over every storyline in the finale, starting with Stephanie Harper. Stephanie Harper and the truth about Hank MacLean. Stephanie has spent most of the season positioned just off-center. She's important, but not loud. Competent, but not charismatic. The kind of character Fallout trains you to underestimate. The finale corrects that mistake. We learn that Stephanie Harper is not just another Vault-Tec loyalist. She is Hank MacLean's wife, married to him before the bombs fell. This revelation retroactively rewrites Hank's entire character. In Season 1, Hank seemed like a man who gradually compromised himself, a father who made bad decisions and then lived with them. Season 2 reframes that. Hank didn't drift into Vault-Tec obedience. He committed to it early, emotionally and ideologically. His relationship with Stephanie wasn't a footnote, it was alignment. Two people choosing the same future, fully aware of what it could cost. The rushed marriage in Vegas, the age gap, the staggered cryo awakenings, none of it feels romantic in hindsight. It feels procedural. Stephanie is left in stasis while Hank wakes early, builds a new life, forms a new family, and embeds himself deeper into Vault-Tec's post-war structure. That isn't tragedy, it's design. Vault-Tec didn't just plan cities and experiments, it planned people. And that's what makes the reveal unsettling. Hank didn't lose his humanity slowly. He stored it away when it became inconvenient. This idea that loyalty to a system can replace loyalty to people becomes the emotional backbone of the finale, and it echoes through the Legion storyline. The Legion's march isn't a battle, it's a warning. The Legion returns in the finale is deliberately stripped of spectacle. There's no triumphant theme, no heroic framing. Caesar is gone, and there is no rightful successor. What fills that vacuum isn't strategy or legitimacy, it's certainty. Macaulay Culkin's character simply claims power because no one stops him. He picks up a crown, declares himself leader, and the Legion accepts it, not because he earned it, but because the Legion does not know how to exist without hierarchy. Their march toward New Vegas isn't framed as a conquest, it's framed as inevitability. The Legion doesn't adapt, it advances until something breaks. And as they move, the show cross-cuts their approach with Maximus fighting Deathclaws, creatures born from the same authoritarian obsession with control that created the Legion's ideology in the first place. When the new California Republic arrives and finishes the fight, it feels like relief, but the fallout undercuts that immediately. The NCR wins because it has technology, weapons, and organization. The Legion fights with belief, and Fallout has never pretended that belief is weak. New Vegas is no longer a prize, it's a fault line. And when these two forces collide, it won't just be violent, it'll be clarifying. But the most revealing moment of the finale doesn't involve armies or monsters. It happens quietly, between a father and a daughter. Hank wiping his own mind is the darkest moment of the season. Hank MacLean's attempt to implant Lucy is horrifying, but not surprising. What is surprising is what he does next. When Lucy finally gains the upper hand, when she demands answers, Hank doesn't beg, he doesn't fight. He activates his own failsafe and wipes his memory. This isn't self-preservation. This is compliance perfected. Hank chooses erasure over truth. He'd rather become a loyal blank slate than risk revealing what he knows. The implication is chilling. The mind control technology isn't terrifying because it forces obedience. It's terrifying because it trains people to choose obedience themselves. Lucy's reaction matters more than Hank's decision. She's not just losing her father, she's losing the framework she used to understand evil. Fallout makes a critical point here. Monsters are not created by radiation or war alone. They're created by incentives, promotions, and systems that reward silence. And this moment directly prepares the ground for the season's biggest reveal. Vault-Tec was never the final boss. For 2 seasons, Vault-Tec has been positioned as the ultimate villain. The experiments, the vaults, the lies. Season 2 pulls the curtain back and shows us that Vault-Tec was never at the top. Above it all sits the Enclave. The Enclave didn't just approve Vault-Tec's work, it designed the world that work served. They controlled the highest levels of government. They created the forced evolutionary virus. They commissioned the mind control chips. Vault-Tec was the public face. The Enclave was the operating system. This revelation recontextualizes everything. Hank wasn't acting independently. Stephanie wasn't loyal to Vault-Tec alone. Even the Brotherhood of Steel has been scavenging leftovers from a hierarchy it never truly understood. The Enclave didn't disappear after the bombs. It outlasted them. Which brings us to Robert House. Robert House didn't die. He slipped the leash. For most of Fallout's mythology, Robert House represents pre-war dominance, wealth, foresight, control. His reactivation in Season 2 initially feels like a return to form, the old world reasserting itself, a genius preserved beyond death. But the finale refuses to give House what he wants. Yes, he's restored. Yes, he manipulates the Ghoul long enough to escape confinement. But then he's abandoned, reduced to data, mobile, fragmented, unanchored. That flicker on the screen when Lucy and Maximus enter the penthouse isn't just a tease, it's a warning. House no longer needs a body. He no longer needs a city. In a world where power is decentralized, information is leverage. House hasn't lost relevance. He's evolved. But emotionally, the finale doesn't belong to House. It belongs to the Ghoul. The Ghoul's ending is the only true choice in the finale. For 2 seasons, Cooper Howard has moved through the wasteland driven by a single need: find his family. The cryo chambers were supposed to be the answer. Instead, they're another absence, another reminder that survival doesn't guarantee reunion. And then there's the postcard. Greetings from Colorado. Colorado was a good idea. This small detail does more emotional work than any speech. Barbara didn't wait. She didn't comply. She chose movement over safety. And that knowledge gives Cooper something he hasn't had in 200 years: direction without bitterness. The wasteland stops being punishment. It becomes a path. The Brotherhood of Steel just became a future apocalypse. Finally, the post-credit scene delivers the most unsettling promise of all. The Brotherhood of Steel returns, not fractured, not humbled, but transformed. Quintus no longer wants unity, he wants dominance. When the Liberty Prime Alpha blueprint is revealed, Fallout makes its intention clear. The Brotherhood is no longer interested in preserving humanity's past. It wants to end debates about the future permanently. This isn't escalation. This is evolution. What Fallout Season 2 is ultimately saying. Season 2 of Fallout ends by stripping away comforting myths. There is no single villain. There is no clean rebellion. Power doesn't disappear. It mutates. And as Season 3 approaches, every major faction is no longer reacting. They're preparing. The Wasteland isn't asking who will win anymore. It's asking who was ever free to choose in the first place.